You ever sit alone in a quiet room, maybe early in the morning before the world wakes up, and feel something heavy sitting on your chest? Not pain, not fear exactly. Just a weight, like life itself pressing down on you, and you can't explain it, but you know deep down something isn't right. Yeah, that was me. And I remember the exact morning it hit me. I was 60 years old, standing in my kitchen, staring at a cup of coffee that had already gone cold, and for some reason, I just couldn't take a sip. I kept looking at my reflection in the microwave door, distorted, tired, older than I felt inside, and I asked myself a question that scared the hell out of me. Is this it? Is this what the rest of my life is supposed to feel like? Because if it is, I don't want it. And that thought, that one dangerous, honest thought, it shook me, not in a loud, dramatic way. No, it was quiet, almost peaceful, like something inside me finally stopped lying. And in that moment, I realized something most people never admit, not even to themselves. I wasn't living, I was surviving, repeating the same patterns, carrying the same emotional baggage, saying yes when I meant no, smiling when I felt empty, holding on to people, habits, regrets that were slowly draining whatever life I had left. And the scariest part, I didn't even notice when it started. It just became normal. And that's the trap. That's how people lose 10, 20, 30 years of their life without even realizing it. So let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Not with me, not in the comments, but with yourself. Are you living? Or are you just getting through the day? Because those are two very different things. And most people don't wake up until it's almost too late. Now here's where everything changed for me. I didn't go on some big journey, didn't win the lottery, didn't have a life-changing miracle. No, I just got tired. Tired of carrying things that weren't mine anymore. Tired of being someone I didn't recognize. Tired of pretending I had time. Because let me tell you something nobody warns you about. When you hit 60, time doesn't feel the same. It speeds up. Days blur into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly you're looking back instead of forward. And that realization, it either breaks you or it wakes you up. And for me, it woke me up. I made a decision right there in that quiet kitchen with that cold coffee in my hand. I said, if I'm gonna keep living, I'm gonna do it differently. And that's when I started letting go. Not everything at once, not perfectly, but intentionally, one thing at a time. And the first thing I let go of was something I didn't even realize was destroying me. Trying to please everyone. Yeah, sounds harmless, right? Even noble. But let me tell you what it really is. It's slow self-destruction, dressed up as kindness. I spent most of my life making sure everyone else was okay. Family, friends, coworkers, people who didn't even deserve my time. I'd say yes when I was exhausted, agree when I disagreed, show up when I needed rest. And people loved me for it. Oh, they loved me. But not for me. They loved what I gave them. And the moment I started pulling back, the moment I said no, things changed. People changed. Some got distant, some got cold, some disappeared completely. And that hurt. I won't lie. It hurt more than I expected. But you know what hurt more? Realizing how many of those relationships were built on convenience, not care. And that truth, it sets you free, but it also breaks your heart a little. And that's okay, because sometimes you have to break your own heart to save your own life. And as I started letting go of that need to please everyone, something strange happened. I started hearing my own voice again. Not the one shaped by expectations, not the one trained to keep the peace. My real voice, the one I had buried for decades. And it was uncomfortable at first. Raw, honest. sometimes even selfish. But it was real, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like myself. And that's when I realized freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about no longer doing what you hate. And that was just the beginning. Because once you start letting go, you can't stop. It's like opening a door you didn't even know existed. And behind that door is a version of your life you never thought possible. But here's the catch. Most people never open it because it requires something they're not willing to give up. Comfort, familiarity, the illusion of control. And I get it. Change is uncomfortable. Letting go is painful. Facing yourself is terrifying. But staying the same, that's the real danger. That's how you wake up at 80 and wonder where your life went. And I refused to let that happen to me. Not anymore. So I kept going. I kept letting go, one layer at a time, and each time, it felt like I was losing something. But in reality, I was gaining something far more valuable, peace. And if you've never felt real peace, not temporary happiness, not distraction, but deep, quiet, unshakable peace, then you don't even know what you're missing. And that's what I found. Not all at once, but slowly, intentionally, by stopping things that were silently destroying me. And if you're still here, still listening, still feeling something in your chest right now, then maybe, just maybe, this isn't just a story. Maybe this is your moment too. Maybe this is your cold coffee morning, your wake-up call, and the question is, what are you going to do with it? And here's the thing nobody tells you about change. It doesn't feel good at first. It feels like loss, like confusion, like you're slowly peeling away pieces of yourself, and you're not even sure what's going to be left when you're done. And that's exactly where I found myself after I stopped trying to please everyone. I thought that would fix everything. It didn't. It just opened my eyes. And once your eyes are open, you start seeing things you can't unsee, like how much of your life has been controlled by what other people think. Yeah, that was the second thing I had to stop. Worrying about opinions that don't pay my bills, don't protect my peace, and sure as hell don't define my worth. But let me tell you, that one was hard. Because it's not just about ignoring people. It's about breaking a habit that's been wired into you for decades. Every decision filtered through, what will they say? Every choice shaped by invisible judgment. And I didn't even realize how deep it ran until I tried to stop. I remember standing in a store, holding a shirt I actually liked, nothing crazy, just something different. And I caught myself thinking, no, people might think this looks weird. And I froze. I literally froze over a shirt. And that's when it hit me. I had given strangers that much power over my life. Strangers, people who don't even know my story. And in that moment, I felt something between anger and embarrassment. Like waking up from a long dream and realizing none of it was real. So I bought the shirt. Yeah, small thing, right? But it wasn't about the shirt. It was about taking my power back. One decision at a time, and that's how it starts. Not with some grand transformation, but with small acts of rebellion against the life that's been controlling you. And as I kept doing that, something shifted. I stopped shrinking. I stopped second-guessing every word. I started speaking more freely, laughing louder, saying things I used to swallow. And you know what happened? Some people pulled away again. But this time, it didn't hurt the same. Because I understood something now. If being yourself pushes people away, they were never meant to stay. And that realization, it's liberating. But it also forces you to face something deeper. Who are you when you're not performing for others? And that question, it doesn't have an easy answer. I had to rediscover myself, my interests, my values, my voice, things I had buried under years of trying to fit in. And it felt like meeting an old friend I had forgotten. Awkward at first, but familiar, real. And then came the third thing I had to stop: chasing money like it was the answer to everything. Now listen, I'm not naive. Money matters. It gives you options, security, comfort. But I had turned it into something else, something heavier. I made it the measure of my success, my identity, my worth. I told myself, just a little more, just one more push, then I'll relax. But there's always another, more, always another goal. And before you know it, you've spent your whole life chasing something that never lets you catch it. I saw it happen to people around me. Men who had everything on paper: big houses, expensive cars, respect. But inside, empty, tired, disconnected. And I realized I was heading down the same road. And I had to ask myself a question that changed everything. What am I actually chasing? Not the money, but what I thought money would give me: peace, freedom, happiness. And then it hit me. I could start building those things right now, without waiting for some number in my bank account. So I slowed down. I stopped overworking myself, stopped tying my self-worth to my income, and started focusing on what actually made my days feel meaningful. Conversations, quiet moments, simple routines. Things I used to overlook because they didn't feel productive. And yeah, financially, I didn't grow as fast as I could have. But mentally, emotionally, I was finally breathing again. And that's when I realized something most people learn too late. If you sacrifice your life for money, you'll spend your money trying to get your life back. And I wasn't about to make that trade anymore. Not at 60. Not with time moving the way it was. So I kept going. I kept letting go. Even when it felt uncomfortable. Even when it made no sense to anyone else. Because for the first time, I wasn't living for them. I was living for me. And that changed everything. But the deeper I went into this process, the more I realized that the hardest things to let go of weren't outside of me. They were inside. The memories, the regrets, the quiet moments that come back to you when the room is dark and the world is silent. Yeah, that was the fourth thing I had to stop, holding on to the past like it still had power over me. And let me tell you, that one almost broke me. Because we don't just remember what happened. We relive it, over and over. The mistakes, the words we wish we could take back, the chances we didn't take, the people we lost. And for years, I carried all of that like a weight I deserved to feel. Like punishing myself was somehow making things right. But it wasn't. It was keeping me stuck, trapped in moments that no longer existed. And one night, I remember sitting alone, lights off, just staring into nothing. And I asked myself something I had avoided for years. What am I still holding on to? And why? And the answer wasn't simple. It never is. But it came down to this. I hadn't forgiven myself. Not truly. I had said the words, but I didn't believe them. I was still judging myself for who I used to be. And that's when it hit me. You can't heal in the same place where you keep reopening the wound. So I made a decision, not a feeling, a decision to let it go. Not because it didn't matter, but because I couldn't carry it anymore. And it didn't happen overnight. Some days the memories came back stronger. Some days I felt like I was right back where I started. But I kept choosing to move forward, again and again, until one day, it got quieter. The noise in my head softened, the weight felt lighter, and for the first time in a long time, I felt present, not stuck in yesterday, not worried about tomorrow, just here and that feeling. It's rare and it's powerful. And then came something even more real. My body. Yeah, the fifth thing I had to stop. Ignoring the signals my body was sending me. Because for years, I treated it like a machine. Push through the pain, ignore the fatigue, deal with it later. But later has a way of showing up all at once. Aches that don't go away, energy that doesn't come back, limits you didn't see coming. And I realized I had been disrespecting the one thing that was carrying me through life. So I started listening. Really listening. I walked more, rested when I needed to, ate better, not perfect, just better. And something amazing happened. I didn't just feel physically stronger. I felt more connected to myself. Like my body and mind were finally on the same team. And then, the sixth thing. And this one changed my environment completely. I stopped surrounding myself with people who drained me. You know the ones. Always negative, always complaining, always bringing chaos into calm spaces. I used to tolerate it because of history, because of obligation. But I realized something simple and brutal. History doesn't equal alignment. Just because someone has been in your life for years doesn't mean they deserve to stay. And once I accepted that, I started creating distance. Not out of anger, but out of respect for my peace. And yeah, some doors closed, but new ones opened. Lighter conversations, genuine connections, people who didn't just take, but gave. And finally, the seventh thing, the one that sits quietly behind everything else. I stopped being afraid of the end. Death. Yeah. Most people won't even say the word. But I had to face it, because the fear of it was shaping how I lived. Holding me back, making me cautious, keeping me from fully experiencing the time I had left. And one day, I just sat with it. The idea that one day, this all ends. And instead of fear, I felt clarity. Because when you accept that time is limited, everything becomes more meaningful. The small things, the quiet moments, the people you love. And that's when life stopped feeling like something I had to get through, and started feeling like something I got to experience. And now, at 94, I don't look back with regret. I look back with understanding, because everything I let go of made room for something better. And if you're still holding on, still hesitating, still waiting for the right time, let me tell you something honestly. There is no perfect moment. There's only this one, right now.
If you want this to truly connect and go viral, don't just present it. Make people feel it. Slow it down. Add pauses after emotional lines. Let silence speak. Use close-up shots of eyes, hands, empty rooms. Make the audience see themselves in the story. And most importantly, end with a direct question on screen, like, what are you still holding on to that's quietly destroying your life? Then pause. Don't rush it. Let that question sit. Because that's the moment where viewers don't just watch, they reflect, they comment, they share. And that's what turns a video into something unforgettable.